getting it over here on one side, but always give Malone a chance. Every time down, give him a chance. So get it over here one time. Then if you don't have it, run your red or whatever comes up. But don't just take it to one side and kill it there, but at least give it the man a chance. Good hard touch on that.
Harris's strategy is simple. Get the ball to Malone, even if it takes a little while. Guard Mike Dunleavy tells it his way.
Basically, we're trying to go to Moses for the first 15 or 18 seconds on the clock, and then after that, anything that is open, you have the opportunity to go on your own.
In Game 4, that's exactly what Mike Dunleavy did. His unexpected offensive outburst gave the Celtics defense another dimension to worry about. The score was tied at the half, but Dunleavy scored 13 of his game-high 28 points in the third quarter, and the Rockets had a lead they would not lose. Dunleavy's performance overshadowed another good game from Robert Reed.
I think every player wants to be known as a good ball player. Now, hopefully, when this series is over with, everybody will know who Robert Reed is.
Reed is a native Texan, and down south, it's just plain Bobby Joe. Though Reed started at forward, he also filled in admirably in the backcourt. Del Harris's no tomorrow strategy was working. His 6 Ironmen had Bill Fitch flustered and almost ready to throw in the towel. Only an NBA championship will put a smile on this man's face. In addition, there was the distinctive board work of Moses Malone, who grabbed 9 offensive rebounds and 22 caroms in all. As the clock ran down, the Houston spirits were up, and all Harris had to do was tell his players the obvious.
Match up, no fouls, be right with them. Don't let him create it.
Harris needn't have worried. The Celtics made only 30% of their fourth quarter shots and were thoroughly frustrated in their efforts to get back in the game. Even reliable Larry Bird had an off game, totaling only 8 points. When in trouble, the Celtics like to lean on Bird, but in Game 4, Boston didn't have a leg to stand on. In a must-win situation, Houston thoroughly outplayed the Celtics and evened the series at 2 games each. The Rockets had earned a return engagement at Boston Garden. Now that the Rockets were only 2 wins away from a world championship, Houston was turning skeptics into believers.
People that asked about why we were 40-42 have to take into consideration a number of things. Partly that we were the second most injured team that got in the playoffs, but principally the fact that in the final games and of the season in the playoffs, we've been able to play Moses for 46 or 48 minutes, Robert Reed for 45, 48 minutes. You haven't had to work in substitutions like you have to over an 82-game schedule.
I don't think the Celtics are really that great. I think they just do a lot of things to make them great. They when the game get down to the line, seem like all their players play together and come together, don't make too many mistakes. They know what they got to do. But Boston can be beat.
Boston can be beat, but it's a lot harder to do in Boston Garden. Something about those banners hanging in the rafters and that familiar parquet floor inspires the guys in the white shirts to win as often as the good guys do in the Westerns. When visiting players hear the closing words of the national anthem and the roar of 15,320 Boston fans, they are reminded of the old Celtics, whose success in the Garden was considered their birthright. It's a lonely place for a visiting fan, but the Rockets felt that a team effort could overcome any obstacle. The 2 teams traded baskets for 6 minutes until a 16-1 Celtic burst gave them a commanding first quarter lead. The second quarter was more of the same, and the Celtics built up a 22-point halftime lead. The main reason was power forward Cedric Maxwell. Cornbread's powerful inside moves consistently paid off for the Celtics throughout the finals, but particularly during Game 5. Maxwell's 15 rebounds and 28 points were both game highs. But even when he's not scoring, Cornbread is a leader in team spirit, and it's infectious. Witness Chris Ford on the bench.
We have a great deal of enthusiasm on this team. It's very much like a college team. There's a lot of rah-rah, patting one another on the back and believing in one another. When you're not out there on the floor, you're on the bench cheering and pulling for the guy that's out there trying to do the job. There's no ill feeling towards another guy just because he's out there playing and you're sitting on the bench. We actually pull for one another, and I think that's what's gotten us this far.
After their fifth game romp, the Celtics found that they weren't the only ones celebrating. Boston fans also deserved a pat on the back.
So I'd say the fact that they're backed by the city is key. I'd say the crowd in Boston is different anywhere else.
The Celtics are wunderbar.
The Celtics are the best.
The Celtics are great.
Celtic fanaticism borders on blind devotion.
We're going to take it 4 straight all the way. Celtics number 1. Number 1.
Number 1. Celtics are number 1 in my heart and in my mind.
Always a horse racing fan, but I love the Celtics now.
Hey, there you go.
They're the greatest.
Celtics, we got them.
You certainly can't blame the Boston supporters for sharing the Celtics' glory. Game 5 of the Houston series was the 30th consecutive sellout in Boston Garden. And judging by appearances, that string of packed houses is just the beginning. This is a new generation of Boston fans, and their heroes are not Russell, Cousy, and Sharman, but rather Parish, Maxwell, and Bird. Still, it is a tradition nearly as old as the Celtics themselves. A Celtic ticket is rarely bought just before game time. Generally, they are purchased weeks in advance, and the fans prepare for games as if they were participating themselves. In many ways, they are.
All right, Carter.